Alright, and we are back with another YouTube video. I know, I'm just on a roll, aren't I, with these videos? But anyways, here we have the AMD Ryzen 3 3200U with the integrated AMD Radeon Vega 3 graphics. And if you know anything about that, you will know it is quite old at 2019. So this was not only a budget processor slash APU when it came out 6 years ago, almost 7. Sorry, 6, 7, well, not quite 7, but it's about 6 years ago. You know, it was a budget chip then, right? As you can see here, these specs are, well, pretty budget. I mean, we only got 16 RPs, 12 ROPs. We only have shared VRAM, no dedicated VRAM. Yeah, so it's not great. The rest of the specs are here if you want to see them. We are pairing it with 12 gigs of DDR4 running at the maximum speed for this APU, which is 2400 megahertz. Then if you're wondering, I'm using a software called Universal x86 Tuning Utility to essentially up the power limit so it can consistently draw around 20 watts of power instead of the stock 15. So that should definitely help with performance. But yeah, that's really about it for the specs. So let's kick things off with a bit of a challenge, shall we? Alright, and by demanding I mean GTA 5 Legacy. So with that being said, let's go over the settings here real quick. We are running in the 1024x768 resolution. We're going to turn off VSync because who likes VSync? This is just what the game defaulted to and automatically set, so it looks like all of this is kind of turned up. Everything else so far seems mostly turned all the way down to low besides water quality for some reason. Anyways, everything else is pretty much on low, which is normal in this game. So we're going to go ahead and apply that. Make sure the VSync is off. Alright. And let's actually play the game now, shall we? Alright, so starting things off, you may notice the obscenely high temperatures at about 94 degrees Celsius. And yes, this laptop does run particularly hot. It is an HP and, well, I don't call HP hot pile for nothing. It's literally a hot pile. I mean, yeah, the TDP is now at 25 watts, up from the designed 15, but you know, still, I would think it'd do a better job than this. Oh, 104. Ooh, well, that's pretty toasty. But yeah, either way, as you can see, we aren't actually CPU limited, so this little Vega 3 iGPU actually has more to give. So anything but turning off. Anything but thank you. Anyways, so yeah. Oh shit. So this iGPU actually does have more to give. It's the processor that is currently limiting us. And with that being said, I don't think turning down the settings anymore would really make much of a difference because of that. Since we are indeed CPU limited, turning down the graphics won't really benefit us in performance. Fuck you, Simon. So yeah, I do want to apologize if you can hear the fan in the background. You probably won't because I'm probably going to edit in some music over this, but either way, if you can hear the fan, I'm sorry. It's really struggling to keep this little Ryzen 3 cool. I mean, it's an HP. I mean, I don't know what you expect. And then the hinge problems, and then, you know, just HP thing. But we're not here to talk about the laptop. We're here to talk about the chip inside of the laptop. So, yeah. You can run GTA 5 on this. Now granted, like I said, this is with the TDP turned up. So if you didn't do this, I honestly don't think this game would be playable on this laptop. And now there is a bit of stuttering here and there, but that could just be down to the processor, you know, being the bottleneck. And then again, it is an iGPU using system RAM, so you never know. We could very well be running out of RAM because we have... Actually, no, we have 10 gigs allocated for system RAM and 2 for the iGPU. Okay, so we're not hitting a RAM limit. We still have another, like, 3/4 of a gigabyte to go. So, anyways, yeah, GTA 5 surprisingly is playable, but like I said, that's probably only because we have the TDP turned up. So yeah, with that being said, let's try another game. Alright, so here we are in Counter-Strike 2, and as you can see, it is taking it forever to compile shaders, and you can also see the processor is paying the price at almost 120% before. I'm pretty sure the percentage when it's above 100 is just because it's turbo boosting above the 100% like base frequency. I don't know for sure, I'm just a guess, but either way, this is Counter-Strike 2 running with the same resolution as GTA 5, so it's 1024 by 768, as you can see here. And then we are also running the lowest settings possible, including performance FSR. So realistically, this resolution is like ridiculously low. I don't really know it off the top of my head, but it is extremely low. And as you can see, we are not, oh boy. Oh boy, that's not. Them stutters though. Like, you know, it's not the most unplayable. If anything, it's actually slightly better than the N97 mini PC I tested not too long ago, which honestly is kind of surprising because on paper that processor and iGPU are more powerful than this setup. So it's quite intriguing, and it's also got the same exact amount of RAM. If anything, that one again should be faster because it's DDR5, not DDR4, and it's more than double the speed basically. So I don't really understand how this is running slightly better. Now granted, I wouldn't really call this playable because a game like CSGO, or Counter-Strike 2 I should say, you preferably want 60 plus FPS all the time in a game like this. It's just, you know, the shooting games you tend to want 60 plus FPS to maintain a smooth, stable experience. But yeah, we're unfortunately not hitting the 60 FPS target that, you know, that you really want in a game like this. But it's still surprisingly playable. Like, it's, you know, you're obviously not going to be winning, you know, sniper battles, close range engagement necessarily against better players because there's, you know, inherent more input lag with the less frame rate you get, and then you just see less detail in the same amount of time. So, you know, it's definitely playable. It's definitely very controllable. There's really not that much input lag, honestly. But playable, I don't really know. Because, like I said, you preferably want more frames on a game. Although I am actually doing surprisingly decent for sorry. My usual benchmark runs. Holy shit, I'm losing my voice. What the fuck? Well, if that's all the proof you need about videos not being scripted, you know, there you go. So yeah. I don't really need to expose myself to the, you know, 240p resolution that it's probably internally rendering at for, you know, FSR. We don't really need to expose ourselves to that anymore. So we're going to call it quits on CS2 here. It's controllable. It's kind of playable, but I wouldn't really recommend it. So yeah, honestly, genuinely surprised by that. Let's try another game. See how that runs. Alright, just for giggles and shits, let's try Portal 2. We are running in native resolution. We are also running with everything cranked all the way up. And yeah, with that being said, let's load up a Portal save, shall we? Alright, so here we are in a later save in Portal 2, which is, you know, a bit bigger. Wow, why is that such a tongue twister? It's a bit of a big area compared to other areas with a lot more open space, so more to render and whatnot. And with everything cranked up, including anti-aliasing, we're doing half okay. We're getting around 70 to 80 frames a second, which isn't half bad. Let's go over here to the fire, which is inherently more intensive, and we drop into the 50s, low 50s, ooh, high 40s there at 49. Not particularly amazing, but I mean, it is an iGPU, and an iGPU that isn't very powerful at that, so it's still doing relatively well considering everything is cranked all the way up to the max, and you know, it's doing surprisingly okay. The iGPU in this case is the bottleneck, unlike in GTA 5 where the CPU was the bottleneck. But hey, on the plus side, we're not reaching 104 degrees now, so that's a plus. But yeah, it's running Portal 2 okay. Let's go ahead and load in. Let's load in a different save here. That's maybe a little bit less intensive, and I'll be right back once that loads up. And here we are. I was indeed right. This is a less intensive area. As you can see, we are no longer dropping even into the 60s. We are even going into the 100s now, which is pretty freaking cool. So yeah, let's go ahead and look into the portal, which sometimes can be intensive. And no, it's not. It's quite literally the opposite. I went to about 120 frames, so it is quite literally the opposite of what I thought. We're reaching upwards of almost 130 there for a second, which is relatively impressive, but then again, it's really not doing much, not rendering much. Let's see, what if I do that? So it's looking at different, no, kind of still sits in the 80s, spikes up into the hundreds, and then kind of comes, okay, so honestly, it runs the fuck out of Portal pretty well. Portal 2. Portal 1 will run better because it's inherently older and, you know, less intensive, but honestly, it's not doing half bad on Portal 2. I was kind of expecting a little bit worse, honestly, considering how the last two games went, but no, Portal 2 cranked all the way up is looking half decent and running pretty damn well on this laptop, so yeah. Maybe let's try something like Warthunder. That's going to hammer both the CPU and the GPU. Kind of like GTA 5. Let's give that a try. Alright, so here we are in Warthunder, and if we take a look at the settings, we are running the lowest quality, running with the native resolution of this laptop, which is 1366 by 768. We are using the minimum, and then we also have old video card support enabled, which just makes it even lower quality. So that being said, we are running at actually a half okay frame rate. We are running at over 60 frames a second at this point. The GPU and CPU are, well, both working pretty hard. The GPU, however, is getting bottlenecked by the CPU at a few points, as you can see like right now, and it's at 92%, not 100, or at least 96, 97. So yeah, it is, yeah, as you can see here, the GPU usage is definitely dropping a bit, so we are indeed CPU bound, which really isn't a surprise because this dual core Ryzen chip, it's not great by modern standards, but it's still a little surprising, honestly, considering the iGPU isn't very good either. So yeah, let's see if we can at least get a kill, or try and get a kill, and see what the frame rate does. Sorry, with all the explosion effects. And okay, well, when you go down the sights, you do drop into the 30s. At one point I saw 38, so the game does not unfortunately hold 60 frames all the time, so it's kind of just unfortunate. Although we did get a kill, so that's cool. We did drop down to 39 frames a second there for a hot second there. Oh, you lucky. You are lucky. You were fucking lucky. Peek me one more time. See what happens. Now you scare. You scare little bitch. Yep, that's what you are. You a scare little bitch. I want that kill. No, never mind. Alright, and I clicked and it didn't fucking matter because my wireless mouse I use has some pro lag. But anyways, Warthunder is running surprisingly okay. We're gonna play another couple seconds here of Warthunder just to kind of look at some other effects, like maybe the dust, see what that does for the frame. Oh my, that was a fast jet. Holy shit. So yeah, Warthunder I would say is definitely playable on this computer. Now granted, the performance will definitely vary a lot map to map. Some maps may run better like this, other maps might run worse, because some maps are not only bigger, but some maps have more foliage, which is inherently more intensive, and then stuff like that. So it's a really subjective game and kind of hard to benchmark in a sense, because maps can fluctuate, you know, depending on the size and what's on the map in terms of frame rate. So it's not a great game to test, but it's a game, I guess. So yeah, we're gonna try and get one more kill, or we're gonna get killed one more time, and yeah, we're gonna see what happens first. Looks like I'm gonna get another kill. It looks like that's what's gonna happen. Oh shit, looks like I might be dead here. Oh no, I'm not. Yep. You know what, we're just gonna play until we die, alright? Unfortunately, the video's gonna be long. Okay, that didn't take long. Alright, so, that being said, let's do maybe one more game. And yeah, thank you. Alright, so this is a game called Banished, which is a kind of a city/village builder kind of game. It's really easy to run, and we're going to start off with the native resolution, everything cranked all the way up. Fuck VSync, obviously, because who likes VSync? Although we are in the main menu, we are getting at about 35-ish frames a second, which for a game like this is more than playable. So yeah, we're gonna do large, and we're also gonna do mountainous, and we're gonna see how the frame rate is in game. Now granted, the menu is rendered, so it's probably not going to differ from the main menu performance. So if that's the case, this game is looking extremely playable, because a game like this, you don't really need much more than 30 frames a second. It's it's not a first-person shooter game. You don't need that many frames. Oh boy, 103 degrees again. Yeah, and that's kind of surprising considering the wattage is barely over 17 and it's still spiking into the hundreds. So okay, well, it's actually running a lot better here because this is a smaller area than the menu. So yeah, it looks like Banished is perfectly playable, even cranked all the way up. Now granted, this game doesn't really tell anyone anything, because anybody watching this video probably has never heard of Banished before, but either way, it's still just a fun game to test and play, and it basically runs on everything. Somewhat modern, I guess. So yeah, with that being said, Banished is, the power usage is back up to 28 watts, which I guess really isn't surprising because the GPU is just struggling. It's just pegged at 100%. Hey, at least we don't have a CPU bottleneck anymore. CPU's not really doing anything at about 30% usage. So at least it's not doing anything to have a bottleneck. Just to see what kind of frames we can get, let's go ahead and turn all of this down to low, just for giggles and shits. Yep, apply, okay, resume. Okay, pretty respectable frame rates. At least we're seeing almost 200 frames a second. This is the highest, this is the best performing game of the day so far. I mean, this is the last game we're going to test, but hey, it runs the best out of any other game we've tested so far. So hey, 100 and, I mean, granted, it's going to definitely dip down a lot more. Actually, I want to try that again with the high graphics settings. I never thought to do that. I have a feeling it's going to drop into the teens when I do that with everything cranked, but we're about to find out. No, I was way off. It's not even really touching 30 frames a second, hardly. Okay, I thought it was going to drop a lot more. Alright, well, that's better than I was expecting, honestly, so yeah. If I zoom out really quick, no, doesn't matter. Alright, well, with that being said, I think that's enough game testing, so let's go ahead and let's just kind of discuss the usability of this chip in the modern day world, right? Now granted, you're not going to be playing the latest AAA games. You're not going to be playing many of the latest games, period. It's just a dual core, hyper-threaded, making it a 4-threaded processor. Base frequency of 2.6 gigahertz. It can boost up to 3.6, up from 2.6, which is fine, but it's a 3000 series processor, so it's old. You can still definitely use it for web browsing, YouTube watching. You know what, let's just go ahead and demonstrate that right now. Let's go ahead and go to YouTube right here, and let's just see how it can run a YouTube video. I don't think it's gonna have a problem running a YouTube video, but we're gonna see. I'm also going to keep an eye on the task manager here and see what the processor and GPU do. Although loading one YouTube page kind of hammered this processor a bit more than I was expecting, honestly, and it did take a hot few seconds to load there, which is perfectly fine still. It doesn't have to be super snappy, which this computer definitely isn't super snappy. We're just going to try an LTT video just because I know it's a 4K video. We're going to mute that. So yeah, we're gonna see how it can handle, 1080p, 720p, and then, even 4K. Of course, it's gonna make me watch the entire fucking ad, because YouTube is, not, they don't have enough money. But anyways, oh, it's defaulting to 480p. That's not a good start. All right, let's bump it up to 1080p. Let's go ahead and let's see what kind of frames we're drawing. Okay, nothing on 1080p, which isn't really surprising. 1080p is really not that hard to do. Now, if we bump it up to 4K, okay, 4K playback seems perfectly fine. It's not dropping a single frame. What if we start kind of skipping around a little bit? You know, kind of doing this a little bit. Okay, it's actually loading up pretty quick. So, okay, so this chip is still perfectly usable for even 4K video playback, which honestly shouldn't really be a surprise because I'm pretty sure it's got hardware decoding, but yeah, it does. As you can see here, the not the processor, the GPU is actually doing something with the codec, so it is hardware accelerated, so I guess it really shouldn't surprise me. It's running perfectly fine. Can this notification thing stop? So yeah, it's still a perfectly usable computer for daily tasks and video watching and whatnot, but for gaming, well, stick to older games and nothing remotely modern because it's just simply not going to work. So yeah, with that being said, I hope you enjoyed my video. If you did, like, comment, and most importantly, subscribe. I'm trying to reach 1,000 subscribers before I die. You know, I just want to grow my channel, so a subscription would definitely help. But actually, more importantly, commenting, liking, and sharing, because not only will that get more views from sharing, it helps engagement, which helps boost the video. So yeah, until next time, bye.